Welcome to the Lose Weight, Live Life podcast. If you're someone who would do anything to lose weight, yet finds it impossible to stick to a diet, to eat less, or just what you think you should, this podcast is for you. I am your host, certified life and weight mindset coach, Clair MACKENZIE. Listen in to learn how to stop overeating, lose weight for the last time, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, all without diet deprivation and self-sabotage. Episode number 159, The Science of Cravings, Understanding and Managing Them. Before we get started, I have a date for your diary if you've been waiting to join the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy, and that is March the 29th. That is Good Friday, which is when we will open for spring enrolment. If you want to join the wait list so that you're the first to hear when we're open and so that you can take advantage of our early bird bonuses, then you can sign up at thebestyou.coach/enroll. Of course, if you don't want to wait, you can join us today as a VIP member. Again, go to www.thebestyou.coach/enroll to find out all of the details. Okay, so let's talk about cravings. First, what is a food craving? Well, it can be defined as an intense, specific desire to consume a particular type of food. This desire is much stronger than normal hunger, and it is often focused on particular flavours, such as sweet, salty or fatty foods, or a desire for a certain texture of food. So, for example, something crunchy or velvety. Food cravings are driven by a combination of physiological and psychological and environmental factors, including emotional states, hormonal fluctuations, and sensory triggers. Also, I don't often use the word craving, but instead often talk about feeling an intense urge or compulsion or desire to eat a certain food or certain foods. But it's really just different vocabulary. There's no specific difference between what we call these feelings, so just think of it in the term that makes sense to you. Now, unlike general hunger, which I would call physical hunger, which can be satisfied with any number of foods, cravings are characterised by the desire for a specific food item or type of food. The experience of a craving can involve vivid mental images of the food, or a heightened sense of anticipating eating it, or a strong motivational drive to obtain and consume the food. But everyone's cravings are different and unique to them. And often they're so habitual that we don't even have much awareness of what we're thinking or feeling prior to seeking out and eating the food that we desire or crave. Food cravings are closely linked to the brain's reward system. They involve neurotransmitters like dopamine, which plays a significant role in the feelings of pleasure and satisfaction that are derived from eating the food that we're craving for. This biochemical response can reinforce the behaviour, making cravings a powerful force in eating habits and food choices. Understanding food cravings is crucial for developing strategies to manage them effectively, especially in contexts where they may lead to unhealthy eating patterns or interfering with having the weight and physical and or emotional health that you want. So let's dig into the topic a bit more. So how familiar a sensation to you is your experience of craving or desiring a certain food? Take a moment to think about it now. Can you conjure up that feeling or sensation? If you can, great. Think about it as you listen to this podcast episode. And if you can't, then it's time for you to get curious and pay attention the next time you experience it. When we think about that intense desire for a specific food that seems to kind of eclipse everything else in the moment, and we become aware of having the opportunity to eat it, we don't stop and wonder why it's happening, especially if you're wanting to eat less or eat differently and lose weight, then I do encourage you to stop and wonder why it's happening. Because often these cravings and our response to them that get in our way and stop us achieving the weight and health response that we want. It's so typical for members of the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy to share how they eat well or healthy most of the time, but have a weekend or evening habit of responding to desires and cravings that stop them achieving the weight loss results they want. So exactly what are these cravings and why do they happen? At their core, cravings are powerful urges. They can be for foods such as chocolates or crisps, or drinks such as wine. They might be centered around the taste and experience of eating, or they can be for the effect that the food creates, the effect the food has on our body and on our brain. So it could be that we're looking for that moment of tranquility or escape. So we're not actually craving the food, we're craving the result of eating said food. But not all cravings, as I said, are created equal. There's always a delicate interplay between psychological desires and physiological needs that you're going to want to understand in order to help you manage your personal cravings. Now, physiological cravings stem from your body's needs. So imagine you've been working all day without a break, focusing intensely on the task at hand. Your body, running low on fuel, signals for a quick source of energy, sugar perhaps. That sudden overwhelming desire for something sweet isn't anything to do with a lack of willpower or an emotional need at this point. It's your body's way of trying to tell you what it thinks it needs to keep going. But even that explanation is a massive oversimplification, because we have to ask ourselves, if you have excess fat on your body, why isn't your body working the way it's designed and tapping into that energy source to fuel you instead of creating a craving for something sweet? Well, that could be for a number of those reasons, and one of the most likely reasons being the hormone insulin. In addition to that, it might be that your behaviour to feeling how you physically feel after exerting yourself or a hard day of work or something like that, even though you're noticing a physical response, it might be that you're layering on top of that an emotional response that has previously worked for you, which is eating sugar, even though it might not be what your body actually needs in the moment, but it kind of gives you something, even if it's just from the neurotransmitter dopamine, to feel better. Also consider, in addition to what's happening in your body physiologically, psychological cravings are in play, and they're tied to your emotions, to your memories, and even to your environment. For example, if every time you're stressed you reached for that bag of salty crisps, it's not that your body needs the crisps, it's that your mind has created a link between the crunch and the saltiness with a sense of relief or escape from stress. These cravings can be powerful, tethered not just to the physical sensations, but to the feelings and experiences that come with them. Understanding the complexity of cravings is crucial when you're wanting to lose and manage your weight for life, because understanding them will empower you to recognise whether you're dealing with a psychological want or a physiological need. And this awareness is the first step in managing your cravings more effectively. When a craving hits, you can ask yourself, is my body signalling a need, or is my mind seeking comfort? Or it could be any other number of emotions that your mind is wanting. But by identifying the source, you can choose how to respond in a way that serves your health and your well-being. And we spend a lot of time working with cravings. We call them urges in the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy. And in April, we're also going to be doing a deep dive on all things hunger. And a part of that work will be around really helping you understand the differences between your experiences of physical and emotional hunger, so that you can put different strategies in place to help you with both. As we explore cravings further, do remember they are a normal part of being human. Nothing has gone wrong if you're experiencing cravings. It's not that you shouldn't be having them. It's that you're going to want the tools and strategies that make it easy to manage them. Cravings don't define your discipline or your control. They offer insights into what your body and mind are seeking. And by learning to listen and understand these signals, you will be taking a pivotal step towards a more balanced, healthy life, where cravings don't control you, but you are in control of and managing them. So let's dig deeper still and consider our brains a little bit more. By the way, in the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy, we approach weight wellness from 4 key areas by helping you understand and be equipped with strategies to help you create a brilliant relationship with food through understanding what's happening in your brain, your body, your mind, and your emotions. It's a complete 360-degree approach to losing and managing your weight for life. So delving into the realm of brain chemistry helps us better understand cravings, revealing how these intense desires are intricately linked to the brain's reward system. The neurotransmitters dopamine, which I mentioned earlier, and serotonin play key roles in the appearance of our cravings. So dopamine is often dubbed the feel-good neurotransmitter. It sits at the heart of your brain's reward system. When you indulge in a food you crave, especially those high in sugar or fat or salt, your brain rewards you by releasing dopamine. This release creates a sensation of pleasure and satisfaction, a reward, if you like, for fulfilling the craving. It's a primal mechanism designed to motivate behaviours that enhance survival, such as eating nourishing food. However, in today's world, where highly refined and ultra-processed foods are abundantly available, this system has effectively been hijacked because the brain and body have not been designed to handle these particular types of food. And so the whole reward system ends up taking us into a cycle of craving and indulgence, which is self-perpetuating. The neurotransmitter serotonin also plays a crucial role. Known as the neurotransmitter of happiness, serotonin influences mood, appetite, and sleep, among other functions. And low levels of serotonin are associated with mental illnesses such as depression, which can increase cravings for foods high in carbohydrates. These foods temporarily boost serotonin levels, providing a short-lived sense of well-being. And it's a classic example of how the body seeks to self-regulate and maintain emotional balance, albeit in a way that can perpetuate unhealthy eating patterns when we bring those ultra-processed and refined foods into the mix. Because again, the consumption of the foods we eat to feel better invariably leads us to feeling worse. And there is more and more research coming to light that demonstrates the link between eating highly processed and refined foods, especially those foods high in sugar, and how they contribute to mental illness. Likewise, foods that trigger a strong dopamine response without genuinely fulfilling the body's nutritional needs can lead to a cycle of temporary satisfaction followed by a crash, further intensifying cravings, triggering us to want that next dopamine fix. It's a feedback loop that can be challenging to break, especially in environments where triggers for these cravings are constantly present. It's so important for you to know that cravings are not a matter of willpower, but are deeply rooted in brain chemistry. I see too many of you mentally beating yourself up for failing diets due to a lack of willpower. And I want you to know it has nothing to do with willpower. It's to do with the perfect storm, in inverted commas, of nutritional challenges we find ourselves in today, where we are living in a stressful environment, and that is the norm. When we're in that environment, that stressful environment, it only heightens our psychological cravings, but also constantly bombards us with the allure of processed foods. These foods, engineered for convenience and packed with those refined sugars, unhealthy fats, artificial additives, salt, alcohol, whatever it might be, are literally everywhere. So their omnipresence, combined with the relentless pace and pressure of contemporary life, creates a vortex where the norm becomes eating on the go, prioritizing speed, and also prioritizing sensory gratification over nutritional value. This perfect storm is further intensified by the normalization of perpetual snacking and fast foods as staples of our daily diet. The ease of access to these processed options available at every corner, all hours, means that healthier whole food choices often require more effort and forethought than many can afford in their hectic schedules. This environment not only cultivates a dependency on foods that spike and crash our energy levels, but also erodes our connection to the natural rhythm of hunger and satiation, leading us to eat out of habit or boredom or stress rather than need. Okay, so having said all that, before we actually fall into a pattern of, oh my goodness, we are all doomed, let's explore this further so that we can easily identify ways we can help ourselves. So let's consider the psychological triggers to our cravings, exploring how emotions, stress, and our environment can condition us to seek comfort in certain foods, creating patterns that often can seem challenging to break. Okay, so whether it is joy, sadness, boredom, loneliness, or the hundreds or thousands of other emotions, know that each can trigger a craving for a specific food or specific types of food. So think about it. When you're feeling down, do you find yourself reaching for, I don't know, a drink, a tub of ice cream, a packet of crisps. It could be anything. Or maybe you notice that when you're celebrating, there is a particular dish you associate with the joy of the occasion. Now, this isn't coincidence. It's your brain seeking dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, because foods high in sugar and fat and alcohol can provide a temporary spike in dopamine, which gives you a fleeting escape from the negative emotion or enhances the positive emotion. And recognizing this emotional connection to food is crucial because it's often the first step in breaking the cycle of emotional eating. So stress is another significant psychological factor, trigger if you like, that will influence your cravings. When stressed, your body's response is not just emotional, it's physiological. Here, your body releases cortisol, known as the stress hormone, which can, among other things, increase your appetite, especially for comfort foods that provide a quick source of energy and pleasure. This biological response, combined with the emotional desire to alleviate stress, creates a powerful impulse to indulge in cravings as a form of relief. The key to managing stress-induced cravings, however, lies in finding alternative stress relief methods that don't involve food. They might be things like exercise, meditation, engaging in hobbies, having a relaxing bath, whatever works for you. Also, of course, your environment, chances are, is laden with cues that can spark cravings. So whether it is the smell of the popcorn when you go to the cinema or the sight of the chocolate bar at the checkout counter, these cues will trigger cravings and influence eating behaviour without you even realising it. And this is a form of conditioning that has taken place over time, where your brain has started to associate certain environments and activities with eating specific foods. For example, if you habitually snack while watching television, you might start to crave snacks every time you settle in to watch your favourite programme, irrespective as to whether or not you're actually hungry. Now, one way to break free from these conditioned responses is a conscious effort to change your environment and routines. This might mean altering your route to avoiding passing by your favourite bakery, or creating a new ritual to replace snacking whilst watching television, such as sipping herbal tea. So with that in mind, let's think for a moment about habit. Now, navigating through your day, you might not realise how much of what you do is governed by habit. These habits, especially when it comes to eating, significantly influence your cravings. The repetitive behaviours you engage in can set the stage for what you crave, when you crave it, and how you respond to the cravings. Understanding the mechanics behind these habits, particularly through the lens of the habit loop, which is cue, routine, reward, can help you manage cravings more effectively. So at the core of every habit is a three-part process known as the habit loop. This loop consists of a cue or trigger, a routine, which is the behaviour itself, and the reward, which is the benefit you gain from the behaviour. The cue triggers your brain to initiate the behaviour. It could be anything from a time of day, a particular emotional state, or even an environment that signals to your brain that it's time for a specific action. For example, walking past that bakery might trigger a craving for a croissant. The routine is the behaviour you perform in response to the cue. So in this case, it might be buying the croissant on your way to work and looking forward to eating it at your desk with a cup of coffee. The reward is what your brain gets out of the behaviour, such as the pleasure of tasting the sweet pastry or the temporary escape from the stress that it provides. This reward helps your brain decide if this particular loop is worth remembering for the future. Now, your daily routines are littered with habit loops that, over time, can deeply influence your cravings. If you habitually reach for a chocolate bar during your mid-afternoon energy slump, your brain starts to associate that time of day, the cue, or the physical sensation of the energy slump, also the cue, with eating the chocolate, the routine, reinforced by the burst of energy or mood lift you get, the reward. Eventually, then, just the time of day or the feeling of an energy dip will trigger a strong craving for chocolate. Now, understanding these habit loops offers a powerful tool in managing your cravings. By identifying the cues that lead to unwanted eating habits, you can begin to alter the routine that follows, substituting a healthier behaviour that leads to a similar reward. So, for instance, if your cue is stress, and your routine is eating sweets, changing the routine to a brisk walk or a few minutes of deep breathing could offer the stress relief, the reward, without relying on the food. And breaking the habit loop does require conscious effort and energy. You're going to want to first identify the cue. So be mindful of the situations, emotions, or times of day that trigger your cravings. Awareness is always going to be the first step in changing any habit. Then, next, change the routine. So once you've identified the cue, intentionally plan a different action in response to it. So for example, if the cue is boredom in the evening leading to snacking, plan a different activity to fill that time, such as reading or a hobby. And then lastly, consider the reward. The new routine must provide a reward that satisfies the craving's underlying need. So if you're eating out of boredom, finding activity that was equally engaging. If it's stress, look for a relaxation technique that works for you. And know that changing habits doesn't happen overnight. It requires persistence and patience. But when you work with yourself to change your habits, your body and brain will respond so that you unlearn the habit pattern, and then eventually the triggers will no longer cue your cravings. Reinforcing new, healthier habits involves repeating the new habit loop until it becomes automatic. Celebrate your small victories along the way, because these positive reinforcements can make the new habit more appealing. And create an environment that supports your new habits, such as keeping healthy snacks within easy reach or setting reminders for your new routine. By understanding the habit loop and the role of repetitive behaviour in cravings, you equip yourself with the knowledge to tackle these cravings head on. Changing habits is about creating a new normal for yourself, one where your routine supports the kind of life you want to lead. So, what else might you want to consider to help yourself with this? Well, a couple of things. Mindfulness in general can help you to be more aware of your emotional state and the environmental cues that trigger cravings. And this awareness can help you pause and make a conscious decision rather than automatically responding and giving into that craving. Also consider actively developing healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with emotions and stress. So whether it's a physical activity or journaling or talking to a friend, finding ways to manage your feelings without food can help reduce emotional and stress-induced cravings. Also, make changes to your environment to reduce exposure to your triggers. This could mean keeping tempting foods out of the house, at least whilst you change your habitual pattern, or it could look like changing your routine to avoid situations where you are likely to experience the craving. Also anticipate situations where you might be tempted by cravings and plan healthier alternatives. Having healthy snacks on hand or planning activities to keep you occupied can help you avoid giving in to cravings. By acknowledging and understanding the psychological triggers of your cravings, you are empowering yourself to take control. It's not about eliminating cravings entirely, but it's about learning to manage them in a way that supports your well-being. Remember that breaking established patterns takes time and patience, but with awareness and the right tools, you can create new, healthier habits that will serve you better in the long run. Another key part of helping you to manage your cravings is learning to better understand and get comfortable feeling your emotions, especially the uncomfortable ones. This one practice is the one that I find most effective in helping you manage your cravings for life. Learning to feel the urge, the craving, or the negative emotion it's showing up in response to will equip you to confidently handle your cravings whilst they go away on their own. Learning how to feel your cravings and accept them without reacting to them is the opposite of using willpower to resist them. And if there were a magic potion to dissolve the power of cravings, this would be it. This learning to feel your emotions. And it's something that we teach you in the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy. And of course, there are lots of other tactics that can also be helpful. So remember to seek to understand your cravings. Ask yourself what you're craving and why. Is it emotional hunger or physical hunger or an emotional or physical need? Identifying the root cause of your craving can help you address it more effectively. It's about emotional, such as, if it's emotional, such as boredom or stress, addressing the underlying emotion can often diminish the craving. And one effective strategy is to distract yourself. So when a craving hits, give yourself 10 or 15 minutes delay before acting on it. And during this time, you might want to engage in an activity that occupies your mind or your hands. So whether it's taking a brisk walk or calling a friend or immersing yourself in a hobby, shifting your focus can often reduce the intensity of your craving or even make it disappear entirely. But I want you to remember something very important with this strategy, and that is to pay attention to how you're thinking about the craving and feeling about it as you take action to distract yourself. Because if you're telling yourself that you cannot have the thing that you want as you distract yourself, you're likely to create feelings of deprivation and build up a lot of resistance, and it can feel like an internal battle. And when you find yourself in this place, it may work in the short term, but chances are you'll end up rebelling against your own imposed rules. However, when your approach to your distraction strategy is different, when you're maybe thinking of it as something you're doing to help yourself to achieve what you truly want, such as noticing that it's going to help you to be a more comfortable weight or a better health, and when you are genuinely wanting to not want the thing you're craving, then you're much more likely to create the outcome you'll want. Something else that you can experiment with is finding a healthier alternative. So when cravings are based on specific tastes or textures, finding a healthier alternative that satisfies the same craving can be useful. And whilst this is not addressing the craving at the root cause level, something that I think is often preferable, I think that having a whole box of tools for different situations is the best strategy. So if you're sat in a bar with friends on a night out, craving the third gin and tonic, when you told yourself you would have just the two, going with a non-alcoholic gin alternative or even tonic water with ice and a slice could be a more realistic option in the moment than deciding to reflect on the ins and outs of your physiological and psychological needs whilst you're in the bar with your friends. Okay, so also consider if you're craving something sweet, opt for a piece of fruit or a small serving of dark chocolate instead of reaching for sugary snacks. If it's salty snacks you're after, try a handful of nuts or some air-popped popcorn. These substitutions can help take care of your cravings in situations where you don't want to do the deeper work whilst aligning with your health goals. Also be sure to set realistic, achievable goals for yourself as you work towards managing your cravings. Depriving yourself of the foods you love when your mindset is not on board can lead to feelings of deprivation and restriction, which will eventually lead to more intense cravings and could also lead you to binging. So there may be a phase on your journey towards managing your cravings where it makes sense to allow yourself small, controlled indulgences as a part of your regular way of eating week to week. Knowing you can enjoy your favourite foods in moderation can reduce feelings of deprivation and help prevent overwhelming cravings. But notice that I said it depends on where you're at on your weight wellness journey. We spend a lot of time in the Lose Weight Live Life Academy helping members figure out whether eliminating a food item temporarily is more beneficial than having smaller amounts of it, or vice versa. And there's no right or wrong here. It's about you being curious about the approach you want to take and liking your reasons why. And also knowing that you get to change your approach to suit you when you want to. And so what this might look like, for example, is that if you're just getting started with taking care of cravings, it might be that not buying some of the foods you crave makes it easier whilst you practice and become accomplished in some of the different tools available to help you. Then it may be that when you're confident at managing your cravings, you want to reintroduce foods you previously over-desire and craved into your regular way of eating or into your environment. Also, never forget to stay well hydrated. Sometimes what feels like a craving is actually dehydration. So before giving in to a craving, drink a glass of water and wait a few minutes. You might find that the craving diminishes as your body gets the hydration it needs. Keeping hydrated is a simple but very effective strategy for managing cravings and improving overall health. Practicing mindful eating, and by the way, check out last week's podcast episode, which was all about mindful eating. So practicing mindful eating can help you deal with cravings also. This involves paying full attention to the experience of eating and enjoying each bite. By eating slowly and without distraction, you're more likely to notice signals of fullness and satisfaction, which can prevent overeating and reduce cravings. Also, let's not forget that the people you surround yourself with can have a significant impact on your cravings. So notice whether you spend most of your time with friends, colleagues, or family members that support you in making your healthier choices, or who are maybe alternatively egging you on to drink or eat things that may be hindering your weight and health goals. If you know certain people in your life are triggers for cravings, then you're going to want to think about strategies you put in place for supporting you when you get together with them ahead of time, ahead of meeting up with them. Also, since many cravings stem from emotional needs, developing healthy coping mechanisms for stress, anxiety, and boredom is essential. So instead of turning to food for comfort, finding other ways to fulfill your emotional needs that might look like exercise, meditation, journaling, or engaging in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. And finally, it's important to be kind and forgiving to yourself. Cravings are a natural part of the human experience, and slipping up doesn't mean failure. Instead of beating yourself up, view each craving as a learning opportunity. Reflect on what triggered the craving and how you responded, and consider how you might approach it differently next time. So by incorporating all of these strategies into your life, you will manage cravings more effectively. You will be able to ensure they don't derail your health and your wellness goals. But also remember, it is never about perfection, but always about making progress. And with the right tools and mindset and support, you can navigate through your cravings with confidence and ease. And of course, if you would like help understanding and managing your cravings, come join us in the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy. March the 29th, Good Friday, is when we will open for spring enrolment. And if you want to join the waitlist so that you're the first to hear when we are open on that day, then you can take advantage of our early bird bonuses. Do sign up for the waitlist at www.thebestyou.coach/enroll. And of course, again, if you don't want to wait and you want to join us as a VIP member today and get help and support right away, also go to that page where the VIP enrollment option is there. That was www.thebestyou.coach/enroll. Thank you so much for being here and for listening, and I look forward to talking to you next week. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and are ready to live a more intentional life, lose weight as a part of that journey, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, then I would be honoured to have you join the Lose Weight, Live Life Academy membership and coach with me. The programme offers different levels of support to suit you, including self-paced learning, twice weekly calls, private coaching, an amazingly caring community, and lots more. Find out all the details about when and how you can join at www.thebestyou.coach/coaching.